Hey there everyone. Today we're going to take a look at note-taking and network-based workflow. So note-taking is something that's been used to improve learning new information for some time now. And it's hard to trust the gray matter between our ears to remember everything that's presented to us. So we need to take the time to absorb the information, to learn it, and then find a way to be creative with it and apply it to our lives. So note-taking has been studied and developed over the years, and various methods of note-taking have emerged as common practice. Some of these methods are even taught to students in the hopes of improving their learning. So the top 5 are the Cornell method, the outline method, the charting method, the mind mapping method, and the sentence method. So when you're using the Cornell method, you divide the paper into 3 different sections. You have the cues section, the main notes, and the summary. The main notes are taken during the lecture. Cues are typically written 24 hours after the lecture, as well as a summary, which is basically a reflective writing that helps to clarify the information that you've learned. So the outline method is a very organized way of taking notes. This is where you use a system of upper and lowercase letters, along with numbers, to help give significance and meaning to the information. The charter method is a faster method of note-taking, but you do need a little preparation. The way it works is you divide the page into different categories according to the subject matter that you're going to be learning. While the lecture is being conducted, you then fill in information as bullet points and cues for learning. Now, the mind map method is a visual way of taking notes. The notes typically start out in the center of the page with a main topic and then sort of sprawl out in the form of branches with information that's related to the main topic, subtopics, and sub-subtopics. Sometimes adding drawings or symbols can help to recall information. Now, the sentence method is also one of the more basic, straightforward methods of taking notes. This is whenever you add a new sentence for every new piece of information as the lecture continues sequentially. Now, it's also good practice to add a space in between each new piece of information so that you can go back and elaborate as needed. So each note-taking method has its strengths. Now, what I'm about to introduce you to is a new way of thinking about how to create and generate notes. The idea came from crowdsourcing and teaching network-based workflow for about 6 years and working in networked environments for over 15 years. Now, before I get into that, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the cloud. Many of you already know that the cloud is not really a cloud. It's a bunch of hardware that's stored in underground or ground level facilities. The term cloud is kind of a whimsical, otherworldly, albeit fairy tale definition for what we commonly know as a data center. For those of you that don't know much about the cloud, we'll start by taking a look at a Google data center.
A data center is the brains of the internet.
The engine of the internet.
It is a giant building with a lot of power, a lot of cooling, and a lot of computers.
It's row upon row upon row of machines, all working together to provide the services that make Google function.
And offer a level of security that almost no other company can match. We have an information security team that is truly second to none. You have the expression, they wrote the book on that. Well, there are many of our information security team members that have really written the books on best practices in information security. Protecting the security and the privacy of our users' information is our foremost design criteria. We use various layers of higher level security the closer into the center of the campus you get. So just to enter this campus, my badge had to be on a pre-authorized access list. Then to come into the building, that was another level of security. To get into the secure corridor, which leads to the data center, that's a higher level of security. And the data center and the networking rooms are the highest level of security. And the technologies we use are different. Like for instance, in our highest level areas, we even use underfloor intrusion detection via laser beams. So I'm going to demonstrate going into the secure corridor now. 1, I have to be on the authorized list with my badge. And then 2, I use a biometric iris scanner to verify that it truly. All of our racks don't really look like a traditional server rack. These are custom designed and built for Google so that we can optimize the servers for hyper efficiency and high performance computing. It's true that sometimes drives fail and we have to replace them to upgrade them because maybe they're just no longer efficient to run. We have a very thorough end-to-end chain of custody process for managing those drives from the time that they're checked out to the server till they're brought to an ultra-secure cage where they're erased and crushed if necessary. So any drive that can't be verified as 100% clean, we crush it first, and then we take it to an industrial wood chipper where it's shredded into these little pieces. To me, the thing that amazes me about Google in the data centers is the pace of innovation and always challenging the way we're doing things. So when people say that innovation in a certain area is done, that we've kind of reached the pinnacle of what can be achieved, I just laugh.
Now that we know what the cloud is, let's take a look at two basic types of network-based workflow: asynchronous and synchronous. When you're working asynchronously, you're actually editing a document or a file independent of others. So if you're working asynchronously, there's typically a check-in, check-out system or a time difference that you establish when you work on a file. Many people also add a version number to that file when they save it to prevent writing over new edits. A word of advice: you should save a file local to a hard drive between edits for a backup, where it can easily be deleted or overwritten by someone saving the same file with the same name in the same location. The other way to work on a network is synchronously. So if you work synchronously, you have the ability to edit a document in real time while someone else has the same document open. This means that you have to have read-write access to a document that is dynamically updating in real time. This is how Google Docs work. So what does this all mean in the context of a classroom, and what does it have to do with note-taking? Well, if we have technology that will make a task either easier or better, we should take the time to use it. So if we can share a document on the cloud and have it edited in real time collaboratively, why not? So I conducted an experiment in my classroom. I had students partner up into small groups. I shared a document to each of the groups and assigned a technical video for them to watch and take notes on, later to be tested. The big idea was, how do students crowdsource information and translate that into notes? So here's the disclaimer. This method of note-taking works only if it's used in the way that it's intended. So the group actually has to do the full breadth of the work, and they need to work in a limited number. So I found that a group anywhere from 3 to 5 is a good number for a small group to be working on a shared synchronous doc. The students will also need to organize and divide the workload before they actually start doing the work. So watching this take place was a lot of fun. I could see the students actually morphing the process as they would add notes and edit notes and then organize themselves. And I actually have those documents in my Google Classroom with the video linked. So let's take a look at that and see what the students' notes look like. So here's a look at the assignment that I gave the students regarding the group notes. So here's the video that I sent out on my classroom, so they can actually click on this. That'll take them to the actual video that they need to watch. We see here that it's 27 minutes long. There's quite a lot of technical information. So we see here it's on the Open Systems Interconnection model, which is essentially how the internet works. But if we take a look here, we can kind of dig in and see how Group E edited. They sort of did some bullet notes here. There's a little note that they're sharing with one another. And as you see here, there's about 7 pages of notes, pretty extensive, fairly well organized. I was pretty pleased with what they did. And Group D was a little different. It was a larger group, and they did a lot of bullet notes. So this is kind of like the sentence model, but there's not nearly the amount of pages, but again, it's a little tighter. This is Group B. So it looks like not as many pages. So really it looks like probably Group E was probably the most organized with their information. B had the most information in terms of writing, which I think, which probably was not the most effective. So there's a look at the actual assignment. And that's what it looks like in a Google Classroom. The response from the students was very positive. After taking the notes, I encouraged them to also make a copy for themselves so that they could edit it as needed, reorganize it, and customize it so it fit their learning style. So let me leave you with a thought or two. I could cut down a tree with a butter knife, or I could butter my bread with a chainsaw, but why would I do either? Feel free to step back and take a look at emerging technology for what it is, and see how you can adjust according to the tools and not just the task. And as always, happy learning.